Am I the a-hole for telling my surrogate to stop acting like she was my husband's wife? My husband and I have been together for 5 years. We wanted kids, but because of my health problems, this wasn't possible. So we decided to go with surrogacy, and my friend nominated her sister, Brittany, 29. I agreed right away because I know Brittany and the family. We've set everything up, discussed payment, short and long-term plans, counseling, and doctor appointments. Then we explored IVF and chose a private clinic to get it done. It started after Brittany took a pregnancy test. She only told my husband, though she had both our numbers. She only sent my husband a picture of the test while he was at work and sent me nothing when I gave her my personal contact information, but it was okay. Things got complicated when Brittany started having access to our credit cards for her own wants and claimed they were the baby's needs. She excluded me from doctor visits and scans and had only my husband go with her. Her excuse was that my husband drives and has time, since I work and unavailable most of the time. I felt isolated from this experience, but said nothing knowing she's bearing a lot of burden, so I had patience. My husband had no idea what was going on and if this was normal, as this was new to us, so we didn't know. She's 7 months in, and last week she had us visit to discuss things that I thought we'd previously agreed on, but she said she changed her mind about, and her mom was there too. I heard Brittany out and was shocked when she gave a list of how things should be from now on, since she said there was a lot of confusion in the past because of me stressing her out by complaining. She requested she got saying things like baby name after I deleted the list of names she sent to my husband. She wanted more access to my husband's credit card / free time to get stuff done at her place. Also, more time with the baby than agreed on. Then I wrapped up by saying only my husband should be with her in the delivery room and use the hospital as excuse. I got up and firmly stated I don't agree on her new terms, and that she had to stop acting like she was my husband's wife and this was their baby. My husband didn't speak till she started crying. He asked me to sit down, but I said I had boundaries, reminded her what her role was and how she overstepped. Her mom went off and said her daughter was being mistreated when she put herself mentally and physically through the most selfless act for us, to make us a family. She gave up a part of her life in those months to give us what we want, and I was acting selfish and ungrateful. She had us leave, then told my friend, and it got more complicated. I was told to apologize for what I said. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Yes, we agreed on paying for the surrogacy like I stated above. So no favors or anything. No, we did not have a legal contract because my friend said there was no need for us to do that, and basically talked us out since we are considered family, but we had an agreement including paying her. Question about whether Brittany had kids of her own. She was a single mom of a 4-year-old who passed away from an accident. She had him at a young age, but she always seemed in good mental and physical health. Now for the top comments. This may be above Reddit's pay grade. Okay, so there's no legal contract. Is there at least a written contract? A voice recording of the agreement? Text? Emails? Anything at all? Lawyer up immediately, Opie. I feel for you. Edit. A lot of people have said, and I agree that something really fishy is going on here. Has Opie answered whose egg this is? How the insemination was done? Why her husband is so okay with Opie being cut out? This could be anything from Brittany seeing an opportunity for a free baby and child support, to Opie's husband and Brittany being on some kind of gross, twisted scheme. There is so little information here that I have just so many questions. I can only sum up this post with oof. I would like to add another oof. Let's add a third oof. Surrogate is a mother to a baby who sadly passed away. So no live babies at the moment. Who in their right mind thought a mother who lost her only baby was a good candidate for surrogacy? Surrogates go through extensive psychological evaluation, and I have serious doubts she would pass. Opie and husband majorly dropped the ball here. Sounds like they let this friend steamroll them into selecting her sister without any pushback at all. No one with Opie's best interest at heart would have pressured her into forgoing a lawyer. Fred is looking out for her sister, and only her sister. And I kinda suspect they're deliberately scamming this couple. Oh, absolutely. It looks to me that this friend saw how her sister was depressed after losing her baby, and there was probably no father in the picture to try again, or money to go through IVF on her own, so they saw this as their chance to have a baby. This is why surrogacy is so heavily regulated. Was there a contract? If not, yikes. Get a lawyer ASAP. Surrogates have no business being involved in naming the baby or dictating time spent with the child. Red flags abound. You're not an a-hole, but you may have put yourself in a situation where an unstable person could now have leverage to essentially be a third parent to your child. Or a single parent. She doesn't want you at the delivery, so she can just claim the baby for herself. Edited to add, after seeing your edits about the surrogate having lost a 4-year-old, she is 100% planning to keep the baby. Whether she also tries to take your husband and just claim child support is up in the air. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter to leave my husband alone? I have 3 children, 10 female, 22 male, and 24 female. The older 2 are from my first marriage. Their father died when they were 5 and 7, and I married their stepfather 4 years later. From the very beginning, my daughter had a difficult time adjusting. She never saw my husband as a father figure. Unlike my son, it took to him very quickly. We tried everything, including therapy, but it didn't do much. She was rude with him all the way through her teenage years, refused to be parented by him, cussed him out, told him he wasn't her father and that she wanted nothing to do with him, etc. My husband, if I might say so, was incredibly patient. He never pushed too hard, respected her boundaries, and always listened to me when I told him to back off. But he did catch a lot of verbal mistreatment, and I sometimes feel guilty not being stricter with her. She moved out at 18 for college, and we paid for her education. Things have become civil since then, but still cold. Now recently, my daughter has been trying to fix things with her stepfather. She wants to join him and her brother for their monthly fishing trips, but my husband is reluctant. He's not interested in fixing things. He believes his duty is done now that she's an adult, and that he's going to live his life in peace now. My son doesn't care either way. This breaks my heart as I want us to be a proper family. My daughter has been repeatedly asking me to intercede on her behalf, and I have, but it seems like it's only making things more tense. So I told her that maybe it is best to leave him alone. Maybe time will make things better. Or maybe it won't, and that she will have to accept that possibility as well. She says I'm a major a-hole for being so fatalistic. Am I the a-hole? No a-holes here. Sometimes timing sucks and just can't be helped. You are ready to move on with a new husband. That's okay. Your daughter wasn't ready for a new father or a stepfather. That's okay. Your husband did his best. That's good. Your daughter is grown up and is ready to be more mature about things. That's good. Your husband has been hurt in the past and is reluctant to take more emotional risks. That's okay. While time doesn't heal all wounds, time may help here. One can't see the future, but one can have hope. I completely agree. My only suggestion to OP would be rather than her daughter interjecting on an already established bonding activity between son and stepfather, that they try something independent from these trips. Start small, like a movie or craft beer/wine, or museums. Anything that they can both discuss and bond over. A fishing trip is too long, and too much after so little involvement. Any relationship that they develop will need to be on their own terms, and centered on things they have in common. Short activities with lots of neutral things to discuss, example, a museum where you can talk about what you are seeing, are probably the easiest first steps, but not right away. He didn't force her to accept him back then. She can't force him now. This will take time and effort. It's not as easy or simple as her suddenly joining the fishing trips and pretending everything's cool. Not a hall for supporting your husband's boundaries and emotional health. Sure, except one was a child, processing serious grief. That's true. Still doesn't mean they can flip a switch and suddenly have a great relationship now. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for wanting to kick my son out? My husband and I have 6 kids. Elizabeth 20, Thomas 18, Addie 10, Olivia 8, Michael 7, and Grayson 3. My husband and I made a rule for our kids that once they turn 18/graduate high school, they have 3 options. 1, go to college and live rent-free. 2, get a job and pay rent. 3, move out. With either option, if you live at home, you'll be expected to do chores, which does occasionally include babysitting or driving the younger kids somewhere. We give them until the start of the next school year to figure it out. Elizabeth has never had a problem with this. She's about to start her 4th year of college, and when she's not in school, she babysits twice a week to help us out. She's great with her siblings and generally has a good attitude. Thomas is a completely different story though. He told us he wants to take a year off before college to relax and figure out what he wants to do. We said okay, and reminded him that if he still wants to live here, he needs to get a job and pay rent. We're not asking for anything crazy. A part-time job at Burger King is fine with us, as long as he's able to contribute. He got a part-time job at a deli making approximately $1,000 to $1,500 a month, and we charge him $300 a month. The problem is he's been refusing to do any chores since he pays rent. He's also rude to me by younger kids, especially Addie. Addie has anxiety, SPD and dyspraxia, and is very clumsy. If she drops or spills anything near him, he screams at her and curses her out. If I ask him to watch a couple of the kids so I can take one or two to an appointment, he yells at me for making him parent my kids and tells me I need to step up instead of relying on him and their nanny. Honestly, I'm getting tired of his attitude. And Addie is scared to eat or drink in the same room as him because she's scared of getting yelled at. I talked to my husband about kicking him out, and he agrees that Thomas needs to help out around the house and be nicer to me and the kids. But he thinks kicking him out is too harsh since we live in an area with a high cost of living, and he doesn't make enough to support himself. Am I the a-hole for wanting to kick him out? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. My siblings and I grew up under these same rules. What my mom did to my brother was build him the costs he would actually be paying in the real world if he was living the same setup with roommates instead of family, including laundry and maid services, electricity, water, phone service, meal service, etc. She walked him through the bill and explained why each portion was owed, and then told him he could reduce his bill by instead of paying mom to do his laundry or cleaning or cooking, he could do it himself and save those costs. You get the idea. My brother decided the rent he was being charged and the chores he was asked to do was way better than paying the higher costs without the chores. That's a good idea. This kid needs a real wake-up call about how much things actually cost. The absolute horror that some posters have about, gasp, babysitting is laughable. How dare you ask him to babysit when he pays you $300 whole for rent? He wanted his path. He chose to work instead of going to school. He wanted to do that while remaining in his parents' house. He pays a measly $300 for a room, common areas, utilities, groceries, etc. He is refusing to help out around the house and is being horrible to his sister, who is a child. I think kicking out right away is overly harsh. I think Opie needs to have a very serious conversation with him to reiterate his options. Staying at home means helping out and being respectful/not horrible. He will never find somewhere to live for $300. So this is his final warning to straighten up. Opie has a child to protect. Addie's only 10 and deserves to feel safe. I have very little sympathy for an 18-year-old who is tormenting a special needs 10-year-old. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. If your husband agrees he needs to be nicer and help out, then what is your husband willing to do if your son continues to do neither? He wants to talk to him and hope he listens. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my brother I'm not taking on extra hardship just because I love him? My brother and I are only 11 months apart in age. He's older, so we grew up incredibly close. And when he and his late wife had kids together and I was already home with mine, he offered to help by taking them Thursdays and Fridays so they could save some money in childcare. This continued for years, and their kids are now 10, 8, and 7. My late sister-in-law died 2 years ago, and it was very rough on the kids. They were very close to their mom, and she adored them. My brother adored her too. They went to therapy for 6 months, and then 9 months after the death of his late wife, he met his current wife. It seems he felt ready to date again, and from there they moved fast. They were married October last year, and they moved in together. It was him and the 3 kids plus her and her 2 kids. I think he thought the kids would appreciate having a mom figure again, and having 2 more siblings. And he thought her kids would like having a bigger family because it was just them and their mom. But her kids have issues with each other, and they don't like my brother's kids, while my brother's kids are hurt and feel like their dad betrayed their mom, and like my brother's wife is trying to replace her. The household descended into chaos and the kids fight. It was so bad, the family therapist they started to see refused to see them all together, and 2 further ones said they would not be able to do therapy as a group for a while if they switched to them. The fighting has made it hard to keep a babysitter and made childcare much more difficult for them. His stepkids don't want to be alone with him, and his kids don't want to be alone with their stepmom. So he asked me to go back to the old arrangement of having the kids after school. I told him I didn't feel like it would work for me, that I love him and will try to help him find someone, but I can't. He told me the 3 kids miss me and their cousins. I said I hadn't made the decision lightly, but after my parents' experiences with taking care of all 5 kids together and seeing how they are with each other, I feel like I wouldn't be capable of coping. He tried to use our bond to get through to me and I told him no. Then he got mad and accused me of not loving him. I told him I was not taking on the extra hardship because I love him, that he knows that's what he's asking, and that I will be here for him in ways I can be, but I cannot take on more than I can realistically handle. He said calling the kids a hardship made me an a-hole, and so did rejecting the chance to spend time with all my nieces and nephews. Am I the a-hole? NTA, NTA, NTA. Your beloved brother has a self-created mess on his hands, and he's looking to you to restore some semblance of normalcy. Except that it isn't your job. Info. Did he ask the kids what they thought about him getting married again or what they felt about her kids? He did. But he said he didn't want them to make the rules. And he told them if they had any actual issues with any of them to let him know. But otherwise he was doing what he felt was right. And they had no specific issues, so that was it. A professional therapist can't handle all of them together. And you're supposed to be willing to take them all? Not at a-hole. If you feel so inclined, you could offer to take his 3 kids. But if you don't want to do that, you are still not at a-hole. That is not something I will offer because he already rejected it when my parents made a suggestion. Not at a-hole. 5 well-behaved kids would be a hardship. 5 kids fighting a blended family dynamic is beyond what should be asked of you. Why can't the kids go to an after-school program where they will have some distance from each other? I don't know why. The parents are probably hoping that if they force them together enough they will become friends. It won't work, and will cause more resentment and anger.